I'm an economics professor by absolute accident. I thought it was going to be the worst course on the face of the earth, but I had one more course to fill my schedule. My roommate was taking economics. He said, come on, sit in on this class with me. And in ways that I cannot anticipate, it just clicked. I don't know that I read an unassigned book until I was a senior in college. And in truth, I didn't always read the assigned ones either. And then I just started reading, and I just started thinking that this is really interesting to sort of open my horizons. And I did go to graduate school, and I thought the idea of being a college teacher would be really terrific. Both my grandfathers, my father, my uncle, and my brother are all preachers, and I figured it was time for somebody to do something different in life. So.
He's so focused and determined to get to know you.
Are you a Giants fan? You're probably going to flunk the class if you do.
That he spends the first 20 minutes of every new class that he has learning, like staring into your face and attaching a face to a name.
You know, Dr. Reyes. And you know, he looks at you and he does that with everyone.
When I first went to college, it was so old they had a dean of men and a dean of women. And the dean of men was this old guy who I think had no life because he memorized every male student's name before they got on campus. And he'd walk up to you and say, Randy, we're glad to have you here. And that impressed me so much that I've made an absolute commitment to always learning the names of all my students in the first week of class. If you want to be a player in the policymaking system, does Fritzler give you some guidance? Caitlin?
Well, Fritzler was telling us how to do it, but not necessarily telling us to do it. And these guys seem to be much more invested in like teaching us like what's the right way to implement the tool.
So I'm just have confidence in your decision. Don't back down. I just want
the way that Randy approaches economics is more appealing to the majority of the people who are not necessarily in it for the money, but are also in it for the social changes that it can provide. For those of us who want to change the world and make it a better place and don't want to see poverty and don't want to see hunger, you know, want it to be eradicated, he brings it down to that level.
And I know you've all spent a lot of time reading Karl von Clausewitz, and you have to say it with an accent or it doesn't make sense. The 19th century military theorist, and he has a quote that many of you have probably heard from time to time, says, war is the continuation of policy by other means. And I think Friday we turned that around, right? Policy making is the continuation of war by other means. When I was young, I wanted to eliminate injustice by Tuesday, and I had sort of overblown images of my own capabilities or powers at that point. But what you learn, I think, as you mature is that you can eliminate small injustices one after another, you can address them. But that in order to do that, you have to really understand what's going on in the world. And there's a classic line that says, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. And I like to add the line, but the path chosen is often paved by bad analysis.
Instead of like bringing in speakers, he pretended to like morph himself into people who had different opinions about poverty. And so he came in one day as Professor Beckman, who was very neoliberal about the idea of poverty, and the next day is Paul Farmer. And it was really, really like innovative and a really good way to teach the topic.
Randy is really teacher's teacher. Anybody among the faculty who has a question about teaching, they'll all lead to the same road, Randy's office.
The lines of students constantly outside of his office was a dead giveaway that this was somebody who really cared about his students and that it took time to talk to them outside the classroom.
People learn in such different ways, and you have to sort of figure out how you reach that individual student. Particularly young professors are likely to say, my job is to get through as much material as I can in this class. And the issue, of course, is not how much material the professor can get through in a class period, it's how much material the students can get through. And so it's really a lot of just a philosophy of always being conscious of what it is that they're getting as opposed to what it is that you're presenting. You know, I'll draw silly cartoons. I will find some way to make whatever we're talking about understandable. And I'll even sing.
woke up this morning, seen your blues coming through. Seems like everyone keeps asking me what I'm gonna do. The question's getting harder now, 'cause I want everything they say that was the time you had it all. If you left here with a ring on, now things are so different, 'cause what I wanna do is make big bucks, have 6 kids, win a Nobel Prize or 2. First years and the sophomores and the juniors, the news of a Smith College senior year, it's a mean year blue.
He's absolutely hilarious. He's also got a really good sense of what people are feeling most times. Like, he can tell when the class is asleep. He can tell when the topic is boring but something we have to get through. I think the fact that he's so involved in our lives, or wants to be, makes it even more attractive to like get to know him, because he's interested in us.
I don't know if many people talk about this fact that Randy is a great athlete. You know, he bikes a lot. He eats healthy food, even though he likes that slices of pizza from time to time. And he is very committed to his family. Kathy, his wife, 3 kids and 3 grandchildren are really center of his life.
My wife is actually a pediatrician, and we got married a month before she started medical school. And then once she finished her residency, I really wanted to come back to small college teaching. So we came to Northampton, where she's been in a group pediatrics practice ever since. It's been a wonderful town to raise kids in. My extended family has always been involved with trying to engage in causes that are affecting the world in some way. My 91-year-old mother spends half her time protesting on the streets for this cause or that cause. And that's just been part of the life that I've lived my whole growing up years, is trying to see what you can do that is of benefit and value to other human beings. Teaching, to some degree, is something I hope has that consequence for a lot of the people that I engage with. I really don't look at this as teaching economics, I look at this as teaching people. If you can put a dollar value on all of those, then you can evaluate it.